안녕하세요.
안녕하십니까.
Thank you so much for coming this morning. I apologize that I can't speak Korean. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to be speaking to you today as part of the 2014 Global Leaders Forum here in beautiful Korea. I actually have many personal connections with Korea. My daughter's violin teacher for 12 years was Korean. And some of my best students now at the Yale Law School are Korean. And they're all very excited that I'm here today. Special thanks to TV Chosun for inviting me and organizing everything so perfectly.
다시 한번 감사의 말씀을 드립니다.
My Tiger Mother book was published 3.5 years ago. And since then, my life has never been the same. It's been much more intense. Things have happened to me, both good and bad, that I couldn't have imagined for a million years. On the not-so-good front, I remember the first day that my book came out in England. As you know, there are very big cultural differences between parenting in the West and the East. But the first day that my book came out in England, I was invited to London to go on England's most popular morning show. 6 a.m. And I remember I had never been on TV before, and the first question the TV host asked me, this is in front of 2 million people at 6 in the morning, I'm so nervous. The first question that the host asked me is, you admit that you made your daughter practice violin 2 hours a day. Isn't that child abuse? I didn't know how to answer because obviously it's a very, I think Korean kids practice a lot more than 2 hours a day. On the more positive side, I have met so many interesting people all around the world and had wonderful opportunities, like being here today. I have also had some very strange and unusual experiences, unique experiences. For example, I have had 2 live tigers in my house as part of the photo shoot for Time magazine. I was told beforehand that they were going to bring baby tigers. They said they would look like cats, very small, cute tigers. And they said, you know, everybody thinks that you're so mean and nasty. We're going to take a picture with you and these 2 cute tigers that look like kitty cats. And everyone will think you're so nice and warm. Well, there was a mistake, a miscommunication, because when the tigers arrived at my house, they were not babies. They were huge adult tigers. 2 huge tigers, the face this big, and they arrived in chains, and the people training them were in astronaut gear, like the exoskeleton. And they came and they brought these 2 tigers into my daughter's bedroom, my daughter Lulu's bedroom, and the photographer was a very famous guy from Germany. And he had lots of ideas. Everybody else was hiding. But he said that I should go to the tiger and grab it by the neck and yank it up for one photograph. And I said, why don't you try that first and show me how it's done? And he said, well, never mind. So what I'd like to do this morning is tell you a little bit about my own personal story, my own struggles with learning how to think independently and creatively, which was not always so easy because, like I think many of you, I was raised in a family that emphasized traditional Confucian values. Like Korean culture, Chinese culture is heavily influenced by Confucianism, and I was always taught you must respect your elders. Always listen to your teachers. Never question them or talk back. always listen to your parents. Do what they tell you to do.
부모님의 지시에 따라라.
Don't talk back. Make your parents proud. And these are wonderful, important values which I still cherish, but as I discovered, they can also be a problem for independent thinking, innovation, and creativity. So I thought I would tell you about my own journey, the changes that I went through, and how I went from being a very obedient Chinese girl who always listened to her parents, never talked in school, to being a Yale law professor known for writing controversial books and getting in trouble with global debates. After that, I will offer some specific suggestions, 10 suggestions for you, about how Korean parents, teachers, and policymakers can stimulate and encourage more creativity and innovation. So I was born in the United States, but my parents were both Chinese immigrants from Fujian, who arrived in the United States in 1960 as graduate students. They went to MIT. When my parents arrived in the United States, they were so poor, they couldn't afford to pay for heat their first 2 winters in Boston. And they wore blankets around to keep warm. Very typical of immigrant parents, and like a lot of Korean American parents, my mom and dad were very strict with my 3 younger sisters and me. And we always knew we were different from all the other American friends, and we complained about it. So after school, all my American friends would go have fun, they would go to the shopping mall, hang out. Not me. Every day after school, I had to come straight home, drill math, piano, do chores. We had to get perfect grades. If I got a 99 out of 100, my mother would say, "What happened to the 1 point? We should study that." We were required to speak only Chinese at home. This is the Fujian dialect. And every time we said one English word, my mom took a chopstick and one whack of the chopsticks for every English word, because they wanted to make sure we always spoke Chinese. I had very old-fashioned parents. I'm sure it's not like this in Korea now, but every day my father, who is my role model, I adore my father. Every day my father came home, I had to take off his shoes and give him his slippers. And socially, very strict. No boyfriends, no going to dances. I think my father was especially strict because he had girls. I don't know what would happen if he had had sons. But there was another side to my father that people don't know much about. And I think I'm very lucky. My father, in his own family, was the middle child. There were 6, 7 siblings, and my father was in the middle. And he was the rebel. He was the bad boy. He didn't want to listen to anything his mother said. He didn't want to work in the family business. He wanted to do his own thing. He was very creative at science and physics, and he was very unhappy in his family. So he was the first one in his family. He eloped with my mother. That eloped means he went to America to get married with my mother. So my father was actually breaking a lot of rules. And he was an electrical engineer. He got his PhD from MIT. But even though he was an electrical engineer, he always did his own thing. He didn't do what other electrical engineers did. And he became quite famous. He became a professor at Berkeley. He's a professor now. He writes about chaos theory and kind of interesting things. And he grew his hair long in the
머리도 이렇게 70년대
1970s.
장발을 하셨고
And so it was always a mixed
저희
message.
아버님은
He was always
그러니까
telling his daughters, listen
딸들한테는
to your parents,
엄격하라.
listen to your
부모님 말
teachers.
무조건 따라라.
But by
선생님 말
example,
무조건
I looked at
따라라고
him,
저희한테
and he didn't
말은
listen to his
했지만
parents. He
아버님이
wasn't
그것을
listening to
몸소
other
실천하지
people.
않으셨거든요.
My father was
아버님은
also very
저희한테는 부모님
adventurous,
말,
and I
선생님
think I'm
말
very
들으라고
lucky.
했지만
He wanted to
본인은
try
부모님
everything.
말씀, 선생님 말씀
My
안
mother was very
따랐고요.
traditional.
또
She only
저희
liked Chinese
어머니는
food.
굉장히
But my
전통적이라
father
중국
wanted to try
음식만을
Spanish food,
드셨지만 저희
Mexican food,
아버님은
French food,
스페인
Italian
음식,
food.
멕시코 음식,
He
이태리 음식
taught us how to ski
다
and to fish.
두루하셨고요. 저희 이제
Because
낚시도
he had
데리고
no
가시고 스키도
son,
데리고
he treated
가시고
me like a boy.
아들이 없었기 때문에 맏딸인
He
저를
built a cabin
아들처럼
that's like a
대하셨던
big
것
wood
같아요.
house in the
그래서
forest. And he taught me how to chop wood and
오두막을
saw.
지면서 저한테
So I had a lot of
나무도
experiences.
베는 거 다
And when I was 16 years
가르쳤습니다.
old,
그래서 제가
my father had a
16살이
sabbatical
되었을
leave,
때
1 year
아버님이
leave from
안식년을
Berkeley.
받으셨어요. 그래서
And I
버클리에서
remember
1년
he took
안식년을
me and my 3
하셨고
sisters,
저와 제
and he
여동생
just
셋을 데리고
took us to
그
Europe,
안식년에 그냥
and he
유럽을
put us in local
갔습니다. 그래서
schools
유럽
in Europe.
현지 학교를
So
그냥
I
저희를
spent 3
넣으셨어요.
months in a
그래서
school in
석 달
London,
동안 런던에
and then he took us out, and then we went to Munich,
그리고
Germany,
저희는 독일
and he
뮌헨으로
threw us into a
가서
German school,
독일 현지
only speaking German.
학교를 도고만 하는
And then
학교에
3 months
저희를
later, he
또
took us
집어넣고
to
석달
Switzerland,
후에 저희를 스위스로
Lausanne,
데려가서
where they only spoke French,
로잔에서
and he threw
프랑스어만
us into a
하는
French
학교에
school.
저희를 또 집어넣으셨어요.
So I am so grateful for that,
그런데 지금 와
because that opened my
되돌아보면
mind.
덕분에
We had such
제가
interesting experiences.
열린 사고를
And
하게
this is
되었다라고
something I
생각을
think
합니다.
that
그래서
can
너무
contribute
고마운
to innovation
거죠.
and
그
creativity.
덕분에
When you see
혁신과
different
창의력
systems,
이야기를 하면
different
가장 좋은
cultures,
방법 중에
different
하나는
ways
나와
of
다른
doing
문화,
things,
나와
those
다른
education
방식,
systems
나와
were
다른
completely different.
시스템들을
So that
보도록
was another good
하는 것이
experience.
이런 열린
But
사고를 하는
human
방법
beings
중에
are
하나라고 저도
complicated,
몸소
and my
체험을
father was
했습니다.
also a very
저희
strict
아버님은
father.
그러나 굉장히
And when it came time
아버지로서는
to apply to
딸들을
college,
엄격하게
you know,
대하셨고요.
today everybody
제가
wants their
대학
kids to go to
원서를 쓸 때가
Harvard,
되자
Harvard and Yale.
무조건 애들은
Not my
하버드에
father.
가야 한다라고 보통 부모들은
He taught
이야기를
at
하지만
Berkeley,
저희
and he
아버님은
said,
버클리
he was very
교수셨기
traditional.
때문에
You should live at home
너는
and you will go to
무조건
Berkeley.
집에서 다녀야 한다.
You don't need to
가까운
apply to
버클리
any
가라.
other colleges. You
멀리
just stay at
떨어진
home.
대학은 원서 낼 필요도
So
없다.
I
집에서
disobeyed him.
다닌다라고 했는데 제가 그때
The first
거기서
time I
아버님을
disobeyed him.
거역을
I
인생
secretly
처음으로
applied to
거역을
only
해서
one university,
비밀리에
Harvard University,
하버드의 원서를
because I'd
제가
heard
혼자
about it. I was
냈습니다.
interested.
하버드에
And
대해서
when I
들은
was
소문이
accepted,
있어서
I told my
궁금해서
father,
하버드의
and at
원서를
first he
제가
was
몰래
really angry at
냈고요.
me. How could you have
하버드에
disobeyed
합격했다라고
me?
했더니 아버님이
But then
화를
he started talking to his
내셨습니다.
friends,
하지만
and they all
친구들한테
said,
이야기를
"Oh, Harvard,
하니까
it's a really good
친구들이
school." And he
친구들한테
changed his
자랑을
mind.
하시니까 기분이
And he
좋아지셨던지
became very proud, and he
하버드
later, my
가라
3 younger sisters
허락을
also went. My 2
해주셨고요.
younger sisters also went
또
to Harvard and Yale.
동생들도
So
하버드와 예일로
he changed,
갔습니다.
and that's a lesson.
그러니까 이렇게
It's
아버님도
very
바뀌신
non-Confucian,
거죠.
but sometimes I think
경우에
children can
따라서는
also teach their
애들이
parents a few
부모님을
things too.
새로운 것을 가르쳐
Now,
드리는 입장이
when
될
I
수도
got to
있다라고
Harvard,
생각을 합니다.
it was a huge shock.
하버드에 처음 갔을 때
And I
저는
started
큰
having
충격을
some
받았습니다.
difficulties.
그래서 좀
I,
어려움을
because my
겪기도
parents
했죠.
were
저희
not rich,
부모님들이
I went to a
결코
very
부자는
poor, not
아니었기
very good school.
때문에
My high school
제가
was
다닌
not good.
고등학교는
And
좋은
when I arrived at
고등학교는
Harvard,
아니었는데
I was not prepared.
하버드에 갔을 때
Most
저는
of the other
준비가 안 된
students
상태에서
had gone to really
왔었습니다.
good boarding
나머지 하버드
schools,
학생들은
Exeter,
뭐
Andover. They were
엑시터,
much better
앤도버
educated
이런
than me.
보딩 스쿨도
I
다녔고
thought I was a
그래서
good
교육을
writer,
훨씬 더
but I could
잘
only
받은
get
것이죠.
Bs. I couldn't
제가
get good
아무리
grades.
해도 B
Even
이상을
worse,
받을 수가
I
없었습니다.
majored in the
또
wrong
제가
things.
전공을
I
잘못
tried to
선택을
please
했어요.
my parents. My
부모님
parents wanted me to be a
좋으시라고
scientist.
부모님들이
They
제가
wanted me to be a
과학자가
doctor.
되고 싶었기
So I
때문에
was
저한테
pre-med,
의사가 되라고 했기
and I
때문에
majored in
제가
applied
프리메드
math.
그리고
Unfortunately,
응용수학을
I
전공을
was terrible
했습니다.
at math.
그런데 제가 정말 수학을
And I didn't want to be a doctor.
못했거든요. 그리고 의사가 되고
So
싶지도
I wasn't
않았습니다.
interested in it.
그러니까
And finally, my father
전공 과목에
noticed. He said,
관심이
I don't think
없었던
you're good at
거죠.
math.
그랬더니
So I
부모님이
switched my
드디어
major at
너는
Harvard to
수학에 소질이
economics.
없나 보다
The
라고
problem
하셔서
is I wasn't
전공을
interested in
경제학으로
economics either.
바꿨습니다.
I just was trying to
근데
please
저는
my parents.
경제학에도
And
관심이
what I
없었습니다.
realized
그냥
is when I
무조건
had to write my
부모님
senior thesis,
좋으시라고
the big
전공을
paper,
선택을 했던
I had
거죠.
nothing
학위
innovative or
논문을 쓸 때가
creative to say.
되자
I had nothing
도저히
interesting to
뭐
say.
혁신적인
Why?
창의적인
Because I wasn't
참신한 내용을
interested
담을
in
수가
economics. I didn't
없었습니다.
care about it.
경제
I thought
자체에
it was
대해서
boring.
관심이
So
없었고
that's a lesson.
경제학은
It is
재미없는
very
거다라는
difficult to
생각을
be
하고 있었기
creative if you're
때문이죠.
not
즉,
interested in the subject.
관심이 없는 분야에
But I
대해서는
worked hard and I
창의적이기가
got to Harvard Law
힘듭니다.
School.
그래도
And
열심히
believe it or
노력을 해서
not,
하버드
things got
법대까지
even
갔고요.
worse.
근데 법대를 갔더니
First, I only
더
went to law school
나빠졌습니다.
because I didn't
물론
want to
제가
go to
법대를
medical
간
school.
이유는 의대를 가기
So I didn't have
싫어서
a passion.
법대를 간 겁니다.
And
법을
by
하고
the way,
싶어서
there
간 게
are very
아니었던
few
거죠.
Asians in law
그리고
school then.
법대
I was
가면
almost the
그때만
only
해도
one.
아시안이
Now
별로
at
없었습니다.
Yale, there's so many
요즘
Asians.
예일은 정말 아시아계 학생들이
Second
많이
problem
있지만 그때만
is
해도
that
아시아계
I
학생이
wasn't
별로
good at
없었고요.
legal thinking
또 제가
because of the way I was
법적인 사고를 잘
raised. I wasn't
못했습니다.
good at critical
저는
thinking,
어떤 비판적인
at questioning
사고를
authority.
잘하는 방법
I just wanted to listen to the professor
잘하지
and write down
않았거든요.
everything the
즉
professor
저는
said
무조건
and
교수님께서 하는
memorize
얘기를
it.
그대로 받아 적어서
And that
그대로
was a problem because when
외웠는데
in
이게
law school the
법대
professor would
공부를
say,
하게
Miss
되자
Chua,
문제가 됐던 거죠.
what do you think of this opinion by
학생,
this judge?
이거
Do you
이
agree or
판결에
disagree?
대해서 동의하니
And I had no
아니니?
opinion.
라고 교수님이 저한테
I
물어보시면
just thought,
저는
well, if
제
a judge
의견이
wrote it, it
없었던
must be
겁니다.
good.
저는 무조건
And
판사님 말씀이
because of the way that I was
옳다라고 생각을
raised,
하는 식으로
and
자랐던
I
거죠.
started to train myself. I had to
그래서
change my
그때부터
way of thinking
의식적으로
because I wasn't used to it.
사고
And I
방식을
realized that the
바꿔야
American,
했습니다.
the other
그런데
students
옆에
around me had an
보니까 제 옆에 있는
advantage,
다른
like my
학생들은
husband,
제
who was Jewish
남편,
American.
유태계
When they were
미국인인 제
growing up
남편은
at their
훨씬 더
dinner tables,
유리했습니다.
they
저희 남편은 어렸을 때 자랄
were
때
already
저녁
talking
식사를
about
하면서
politics and
정치
economics.
얘기도 하고
When I was
경제
growing up,
얘기도 하고
we
하면서
just ate dinner
자라났던
really
거죠.
fast and
근데
then go
저희는
do your
무조건
homework.
빨리 밥 조용히 먹고
But
가서
in my
숙제를
husband's family,
했습니다.
they said, what do you
근데
think
저희
about what this president
시댁에서는
did?
이
What do you think about foreign
대통령이
policy?
이랬는데 그건
What's your
어떤
view?
이해야?
So they were much
이런
more
외교 정책에
comfortable
대해서 너는
questioning
어떻게
authority
생각하니?
and
하는
challenging
이야기를 저녁
the status
식사에서
quo and having
하면서
their own
자랐던
opinions.
거죠. 그래서 이
Finally,
미국
I wasn't good
애들은
at
자기의
networking.
의견을 만들어내는데
I saw my other American
정말
friends.
유리했습니다.
They
또
called their
한 가지
professors
제가
by their
뒤처졌던
first
게
names. They went to the office,
네트워킹입니다.
knock,
제
have a
미국
discussion.
친구들은 교수님한테
I was so scared of my
찾아가고
professors.
이렇게
I was scared to go
사귀고
to their
했는데
office, so
저는
I
교수님이
couldn't get to
너무
know them well.
무서워서
But
찾아가지를 못했습니다.
there are some very good Confucian
그런데
values too.
유교적인
Hard
가치 중에
work,
좋은 것도
determination,
있습니다. 근면함,
perseverance, and
성실함.
always trying to
그리고
improve.
계속해서
I am so grateful
자기를
that
좀
my
더
parents gave me
발전시키고자
those
하는
values
가치관
because
이런
it
것들은
allowed me to not give up.
덕분에 제가
I thought, okay,
포기를
I
안
need to
할 수
change.
있었습니다.
I need to
그때
change
저는
the way I'm
포기를
thinking.
안 하고
I have to be different.
내가 사고방식을
And
바꿔야
hard
하는구나.
work, let me tell you,
지금처럼
can
해서는
make up
안
for a
되는구나.
lot.
그리고
I
각고의
started
노력을
off not
했습니다.
doing well, but I ended up doing
처음에는
very
성적이
well
안
at Harvard Law
좋았지만
School,
하버드
and I
법대로
even
좋은
became the
서력으로
first
전적을
Asian
할 수 있게
American
되었고,
officer of the Harvard
그리고
Law Review, which is
하버드 라
an
리뷰라고
important
하는
journal.
중요한 저널의
After
첫
graduating,
임원이
I met a
되기도
very
했습니다.
important person
졸업을
in my
하고
life.
나서 제
I
삶에서
clerked for a
굉장히
judge,
중요한
Judge Patricia
판사,
Wald, very
월드
famous.
판사를
She
만나게
was
되었습니다.
so
제가 졸업을 하고
Really tough. She was only this
이제
big, but she was
클래스로서
really
그
tough.
서기로서 도와드리게
And she
된
kept asking me
법관님이신데요.
questions
그
that I wasn't used to.
법관님은 저한테
She
계속
said, "What do you want to
질문을
be
하셨습니다.
when you
너는 뭐가 될래?
graduate, when you leave?" And I
너는
said, "I want to
뭐
be a
할 거니?"
professor."
그래서 저 교수님
And she said,
교수를
"Why?"
해요. 그랬더니 왜?
I said,
왜
"Well,
교수는 왜 하는데?
because my father's a
그랬더니 저희
professor." you know.
아버님이 교수를
And she
해서
said,
저도
"That's not
그냥
a good
교수할
reason.
겁니다라고
Why do you want to
했더니
be a professor?
그건 안
What do you want to
된다.
say?
왜 교수가 되고
What's your view?
싶냐?
What do you?"
교수가 돼서
And she
뭘
said,
할
"You need to go
거냐?"
out and have some
이런 이야기를 저한테
experiences
하셨습니다.
and learn
그래서
something.
너
You can't be a professor
세상에
now because you have
나가서
nothing
삶의
to say."
경험을 좀
So
해라.
I went to,
네가
I
지금
took her advice and I
교수가
went to
되면
Wall
안
Street.
된다라고 해서 제가
I was on
월스트리트에
Wall Street for
가서
3 years
3년 동안 일을
being a lawyer.
했습니다.
And the whole
변호사로서
time,
3년
I
동안
wasn't such
일을
a
하면서
sure about law. I was also
제가
trying to
그때만
write a
해도
novel.
사실
But
법에
my
대한
judge
확신도
was
없었고
right.
소설도 한 편에서 쓰고
Being
있었거든요.
exposed to
그런데
new
중요한
ideas
것은
and in the
새로운
workforce,
아이디어를
I finally
접하고
found my passion.
직접
I
일을
found
하면서
something that really interested in me.
내가 정말
And it was
열정을
almost
갖고
by
있는 게
accident.
무엇인지를
So this is in
깨달았습니다.
the
거의
late
우연히
80s. We,
깨달았던
my law
것이죠.
firm, represented
80년대 말에
the Mexican
저희
government.
로펌이
My firm
멕시코
represented governments.
정부를
And I was
멕시코
working on the
정부를
privatization
위해서,
of
일을
Mexico's
했었습니다.
telephone
그래서
company.
멕시코의,
Privatization is before it was owned by the
전화회사의
government,
민영화와 관련이
and we
된
were
일을
selling it
로펌에서
to
하게
private
되었습니다.
investors. And I was assigned, I was a very unimportant person, the youngest person. I was assigned to write the history of Mexico for the securities document. And I learned that in Mexico, the economy was always flipping back and forth. First, starting, they would have very pro-market, pro-free markets and pro-foreign investor periods. Then they would swing to the other side and be again anti-American, anti-foreigners, nationalization. Then they would swing back to pro-free markets and then swing back. Well, that gave me an idea because at the time that was the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Soviet Union crashed and everybody was writing the end of history. Now Western free market democracy is going to triumph and everybody will be a Western free market democracy. But having studied the Mexican economy, the history, and also knowing about Asia, I wrote my first article called The Privatization Nationalization Cycle. And I took a challenging position, a critical position. I said, I disagree with what everybody is saying. Right now, it may look like there's a lot of pro-market euphoria, but you have to be careful. If you look at history, things may swing back. Because cultures around the world are very different. Not every country is like the United States. So I published this article, it did very well, and I got my first teaching job at Duke Law School. I challenged authority in a different way. I noticed in Mexico that all the rich people looked different than the poor. They were more white and European. So I started noticing patterns. I knew from my own family that there are ethnic groups around the world that are very successful, like the Chinese in Indonesia, or the Philippines, or Burma, or the Indians in East Africa, or Koreans in Los Angeles. And in the West, you're not supposed to talk about this. It's very sensitive. Never talk about this. But I decided to write about it because it was something I was comfortable with. I knew about it from my own personal experience. So I broke the rules. I said, why can't we talk about it? And my first book, World on Fire, was quite successful. And the lesson is that only when you care about something, when you know about it in your gut, it's something you have a personal intuition about. When you're really excited, that's the only time that you can be very creative and daring and innovative. And that's what gave me my job at Yale Law School. So in my own case, it took me 30 years of mistakes. After so many years of trying to just please my parents, trying to write what other people told me to write, doing parts of law that I wasn't interested in, I finally found an area of the law that I was interested in, that I found I could write creatively with strong opinions about. I basically found a way to combine my own long-time interest in different cultures with the political science of markets and rule of law and democracy. And as I will discuss more later, I think that is one path to creativity and innovation, is to be interdisciplinary. Think outside the box of your field. So don't be constrained by just what the experts in your field are saying or what everybody else is doing. So let me now switch gears. That's the end of my own personal story. And let me now give you some suggestions for what I think Korean parents and educators and government policymakers might do to promote creativity and innovation in Korea. And some of these are based on lessons that I learned myself the hard way. I'll give you 10 suggestions. Number 1, help your children develop their own opinions. Even at a very young age, like 6 or 7, try to treat your children like adults and discuss grown-up topics with them at dinner. Politics, economics, the environment, Ask them what they think. Don't just tell them something.
애들에게 너는
Just
어떻게
ask them
생각하니
what
하고
do you
물어보세요.
think? Do you think
이러이러한
this
거야
policy
라고
is a good
말씀을 하지
idea?
마시고
Do you think
이런
what President
정책이
Obama
있는데
is
이게
doing
괜찮을
in
것 같아?
Middle East is a good
내지는
idea?
오바마의 중동
I
정책이
think this is a
과연 옳은
very important
선택일까?
thing to
이런
start
것을
at an early
물어보십시오.
age.
이런
You can do it at
얘기를
home with your
어려서부터
own
시작하는 게
children.
중요합니다.
Even in the
집에 가서
classrooms,
자녀분들과
it's a big
하시고
difference between America
교실에서도
and the East.
미국 교실과
In the
동양 교실의
classroom in
가장 큰
America,
차이가
you should
이겁니다.
have debates.
미국 교실에서는
Take
토론을
half the students,
합니다.
put them on one
즉,
side, the other half on the other,
학생을 반으로
have a
나누어서
topic, and
반은
encourage
찬,
them to
반은
disagree.
반 이렇게 해서
As
서로
your children get
토의를
older,
하고 자신의 견해를
15,
논리적으로
16,
전개하는
start to
것을 가르치는
challenge them
것입니다.
morally.
아이들이 좀 더
I know
커서
that the Harvard
15살,
professor
16살이
Michael
되면은
Sandel is
도덕적인
very
과제를
famous
던져주시기
here in
바랍니다.
Korea.
한국에 하버드의
And
마이클
both my
샌델
daughters
교수가
love
유명하다는
his
것을 알고
class at
있습니다.
Harvard.
저희
He's
딸
such a
아이
good
둘이
professor.
다
But he
하버드에서 마이클
asks
샌델
young
교수의
people very
강의를 너무너무
morally
좋아합니다.
challenging
그런데 이 샌델
questions
교수는
that I think
도덕적인
my
도전
mother would
과제를
never have asked
던집니다.
me.
우리 엄마
For
같았으면
example, one
죽었다해도 나한테
famous
물어보지
puzzle.
않았을 질문들을
He
합니다.
said,
예를 들어서
imagine if a
샌델
terrorist
교수가 이런 얘기를
said,
합니다.
I'm going to blow up this building
테러리스트가
and kill
내가
100 people.
이 건물을 폭파시켜서
Or I
100명을
will
죽일
give you a
것이다.
gun
그거를
and you kill
막으려면은
one person.
내가 너한테 총을 줄
If
테니까
you
나가서 한 명을
shoot
쏘아
one
죽여라. 그러면
person,
내가
I will save the 100 people.
100명을
Should you shoot
폭발을
the one
통해서
person?
죽이는 것을 안 하겠다.
Very
라고 했을
difficult.
때
I can never
100명을
imagine being asked these
선택하겠습니까? 한
questions.
명을
But
선택을
he asked
하겠습니까?
his class
아주 어려운
at
질문이죠.
Harvard this
저
question,
같으면
and it
이런
gets a
질문을
big
생각조차
debate going.
못합니다만은 마이클 샌델 교수는 하버드에서
Idea
학생들에게
number
이
two.
질문을
Number
던져서
two.
굉장히
Encourage your
다양한
children
토론을
to
합니다.
ask why.
두 번째, 아이들에게
To
왜요?
question things.
왜?
I think
왜
this is a
그런
big
건데?
weakness
하고
of
물어보도록
Asian
적극
education
장려하십시오.
systems. You're
아시아의
always
교육
taught just to
제도를
accept
보면은
it and to
항상
memorize it.
기존의 사실을
But that
받아들이고
needs to change
외워야
if you
합니다.
want to encourage
그런데
creativity.
창의성을
So,
꽃 피우려면 이런 부분이
you know,
바뀌어야
ask your
됩니다.
5-year-old, why do you think
아이가
there's a sun in the day and the moon at night?
얘야 왜 낮에는 해가
Why does
뜨고
the
밤에는
apple
달이
fall
뜰까?
to the ground?
왜 사과나무에서 사과가
Asking
뚝
why
떨어지지?
generates
하고 물어보세요.
curiosity.
왜를
And I
물어보게
think
되면 호기심이
curiosity is
촉발됩니다.
part of what
호기심이야말로
leads to creativity.
창의성으로
And it gives you deeper
이어지는 관건
understanding.
중에 하나입니다.
Also,
또한
asking why
이해를
can
심도
lead
깊게
to
하는
more
데 도움이
innovative
됩니다.
solutions.
왜를 물어보게 되면은
The CEO of
혁신적인
Google,
대안들이 나옵니다.
Eric Schmidt,
구글의
said,
CEO인 에릭
we
슈미트가
run
이렇게
this company
말했습니다.
on
우리는 이
questions, not
회사를
answers.
답변이 아니라
If you keep
질문을 가지고
asking questions,
운영한다라고 얘기를
then you
합니다.
keep
질문을
developing
계속
better
던지면
solutions and better
점점 더
answers.
나은 답이 나온다.
Also, if you
점점
think
더
of
좋은
history's
해결책이
most
나온다라고
important
했습니다. 또한
artists,
역사를 보면
architects,
중요한
chefs. I know you
예술가,
have fabulous
건축가,
chefs here this
셰프, 뭐
weekend.
한국에도
Inventors,
훌륭한 셰프들이 지금
painters,
많다고 알고
musicians.
있습니다만 그 외에도
All
발명가,
those people
화가,
asked
음악가
why.
이
They
수많은
said
사람들이
everybody else is
왜를
doing it this
물어봤습니다.
way,
다들
but why
이렇게
should it be that
하는데
way?
왜 그래야만
Why
해?
can't I do it this
왜
way?
다르게 하면 안 돼?
And that's
라고
how
물어본 사람들입니다.
creativity
이렇게
comes
해서
about.
창의성이
That's by asking why I'm going to do it my own way.
나는
That's how
이렇게
we
할 거야.
got the
내가 왜
birth of
저렇게 해야 돼?
Impressionism in
라고
painting
해서
and
처음에
modern art.
인상파가 나왔습니다.
Beethoven,
현대
we think of
미술이
him as a
그렇게
classic
탄생을
musician,
했습니다.
but he was a
이제는
rebel in his own
베토벤을
way. He did it
고전
differently.
음악가로
And of course,
생각합니다만
rock and
당대에는
roll,
베토벤도
hip-hop, always. Let's do it a new
반항하였습니다.
way.
힙합도 마찬가지입니다. 음악이
Idea
왜
number
꼭
three.
이래야만 해? 다르게 할
Give
거야.
your
라고
children
했기 때문에
some
시작된
space.
것입니다. 세 번째,
I think I can sympathize
아이에게 좀
with Korean
여유의 공간을
parents.
주세요.
This
저도
is the hardest
한국의
for me.
부모와
This
공감을
was the
합니다.
hardest.
저도 애들에게
Because
좀
I wanted to
자유를 주고
control my
자유롭게
daughter's
여유를 주는
schedules.
것이
You
어렵습니다.
know,
저는
fill
아이의
every hour.
일정을
Wake
통제하고
up, study,
싶습니다. 애가
practice
눈을 뜨는
violin,
순간부터
drill.
공부를
In the
시키고
Confucian
바이올린
way,
연습을
there's
시키고
always you could always study more.
문화권에서는 항상 공부는 더
But
해야 됩니다. 공부를
studies have
충분히
shown
했다라는 것은
that to
존재하지
generate
않습니다. 그러나
creativity,
연구 결과를
children
보면
need some free
창의성이
time, some
꽃피려면은
unstructured
아이들은
time,
자유 시간을
so
필요로
they can
합니다.
experiment
아무것도 안 하는
and be
시간, 주어진
spontaneous
일정이 없는
and
시간이
talk to
필요합니다.
others
그래야
and discover
자발적으로
things by
이것저것
accident.
하면서 우연히 뭣도
It is very
발견을 하고
hard to be
남들과 얘기를 할 수
creative
있는 것입니다.
or to write
하루
unusual stories or have
24시간이
crazy
꼼꼼하게
ideas
빡빡하게
if
짜여져 있는
every day is exactly the same. If
날이면
every
날마다
hour
똑같은
of every day
일정을
is so
답습하는
rigid.
아이가 어떻게
So
창의성을
many
내고
famous
새로운 글을
scientists and
쓰고 새로운
inventors
아이디어를
say
내겠습니까?
that they got their
너무나
best
많은
idea
과학자와
while hiking
작곡가와
up a mountain
발명가가
or sitting
자기가
on the
최고의
beach
아이디어를
or
얻은
watching a
순간은
sunset.
등산하면서
I think this is a
내지는 뭐
challenge for
해넘이를
Koreans
보면서 내지는
because
뭐
there's so much
뭐
competition. You just want
성향을
more
보면서
and more
이런 얘기를
studying. You're
합니다.
always thinking of the
이것이
test score.
한국 부모에게 아마
But
가장
try,
어려울 겁니다.
it's
항상
not that
다음번
much
시험이
time,
있고
just
항상
an hour,
점수
to let
관리를
your
해야
kids
되고 항상
play
일정 관리를
outside
하고
or
싶습니다만
wander
가끔씩은
around a
좀
museum with
놔주세요.
friends, some
밖에 나가서
unstructured
놀게도
time.
하고
A
애들이
big difference
친구들하고
with
같이
America,
박물관에도
too, is
가게
the
해주세요.
sports.
미국과
Not always
아시아의 큰
competition, but
차이
at
중에
young age,
하나가
kids play
스포츠입니다.
competitive
미국의 경우
sports, and it
어린
really creates
나이부터
good
애들이
emotional,
스포츠라든지 이런 운동
health, and
경기를
also
합니다.
social
그렇게 되면은
skills.
사회성도 좋아지고
Four,
감성도 좋아지고
teach your children
여러 가지
that
면에서 도움이
sometimes
됩니다.
there is no
4번,
one correct answer.
아이들에게 매번 다 정답이
Of
있는
course,
것은
in
아니라는
math
점을
or science,
알려주세요.
sometimes there is
물론
only one
수학과
right answer.
과학에서는 정답이
And of course, there are
하나뿐입니다.
some historical
그런데
facts, a
어떤
date.
때는
There's only
예를
one
들어서
right date sometimes.
역사적인
But
연도는
in many other
특정 사건이
areas, I
발생한
think
연도는
schools should
하나뿐이지요.
encourage
한
their children,
연도뿐이지요.
their
그러나 그
students,
외에는
to
학교에서
read
아이들에게
novels
소설도
and
읽게 해주고
poems and
시도 읽게
plays,
해주고 또
and
희곡도
ask the
읽게 해줘야
students,
합니다.
what is your
그리고
reaction
아이들에게
to
자
this
이거를
novel?
이 소설을
Do you
읽으니까
think
어떤
this is a
생각이
good
드니?
novel?
이 책이 좋은
How
책인
does
것
it make you
같니? 하고
feel?
물어보세요.
Which
이
character
책을
do you
읽었을
like
때
best
기분이
and
어땠니?
why?
어느 인물이 제일
Or
마음에
give them
드니?
essays by famous people on
라고
both
물어보세요.
sides, maybe one from a
아니면은
different country.
뭐 국가별로
And ask
문화권별로
which
서로
side do you
다른
agree with.
저자의 작품을
It's
읽어보게 하고
important if you
누구의
want to
관점에 제일
generate
공감하니 하고
creativity to
물어보세요.
teach children that for
창의성을
so many things
양성하려면
there is not just
아이들에게
one right
여러 가지가
answer.
있다. 여러 가지 답이 다 오를 수가 있고 정답이
Item
매번
number
하나로
5.
정해져 있는 건 아니다라는
Expose
것을
your
알려주는
children
게
to
중요합니다.
art.
다섯 번째,
Art
아이들에게
helps
예술을
inspire
접할 기회를
creativity.
주세요. 예술을
And
접하면
this was another weakness
창의성이
in my own
늘어납니다.
family.
저희
When
집도
we went to
이게
museums,
약점입니다. 저희가
my parents
박물관에
just said,
가거나
"Where are the most
미술관에
famous
가면
ones? Let's go
저희
see all the
부모는
most
항상
famous
제일
paintings."
유명한 그림이 어디
Check,
거야?
check, check.
제일 유명한 거, 제일 유명한 작품.
I think that's
그것만
not the best
따닥 보고
way to
나왔습니다.
appreciate art.
그러나
I
예술은
think
그렇게
the better
감상하는 게
way,
아닙니다.
my husband's mother was a famous
저희
art critic.
시어머니가
Is
유명한
in
미술
schools or at home,
비평가셨는데요.
show your child
제일
a
좋은
painting.
방법은
It
집이나
can be famous
학교에서
by
아이에게
Picasso
그림을
or
보여주는 겁니다.
Da Vinci
피카소나
or not so
다빈치의
famous.
유명한 그림일 수도
And
있고
ask
아니면
them
무명 작가의
what they
그림이어도
think
좋습니다.
the painting is
그림을
about.
보여주고 이게
How
뭐를
it makes
그린
them
것
feel
같니?
emotionally.
이 그림을 보니까 어떤
Compared to
기분이
Western
드니?
children,
하고 물어보세요.
Asian kids tend to
서양
be
아이와
very
비교했을 때
bad
아시아
at answering these
아이들은
questions.
이러한 질문에
They
대한
often
답을
have nothing to
굉장히
say.
못 냅니다.
If you
할
show
말이
them a painting,
없습니다.
a Picasso, what do you
아이에게
think of this
피카소
painting?
그림을
They
보여주고
can
자
often
어떤
say
생각이
nothing
드니?
interesting.
하고 물어보면은 애들은 눈만
But
깜빡일
this is
뿐입니다.
very easy to
그러나
change.
이
And it
부분은
doesn't
쉽게
take
바뀔
much
수
time.
있습니다.
I
시간이
think in the
그렇게 많이
schools in
소요되지가
Korea, you only need
않습니다.
5 minutes
한국에서도
to
5분이면
show
될 것
children
같습니다.
some art.
아이들에게 미술
Maybe show
작품을
them some bad
보여주세요.
art. It doesn't have to be famous.
꼭 잘 그린 그림이
Maybe see
아니어도
if the
됩니다.
children can
못
tell
그린
the difference
그림이라도
between good art or
보여주시면은
famous art
애들이
and not.
유명한 그림인지
This will
뭐
encourage
졸작인지
children
구별할
to
수가
open their
있습니다.
minds and to think
이렇게
more
해서 아이들이
freely
좀 더
without being afraid of
열린
being
사고를
wrong.
하고 내가 틀린 말을 하면
Point
어떡하지 하고
6.
두려워하는 게 아니라
Encourage
다양한
young people
새로운
to be
생각을 할 수
unique.
있습니다. 여섯 번째,
I
젊은이들에게
saw this through my father,
독특하도록
and I think I was very lucky.
독특성을
My father,
개성을
I
권장해
noticed,
주세요.
was
저희
never like
아버지를
anybody
보니까
else.
저희 아버지는 그
In fact, he
누구와도
discovered
다릅니다.
something
굉장히
called
독특한
the
분입니다.
singular point. It means like a unique
싱귤러
point in
포인트라고 하는
mathematics.
수학의
But he was always
고유점을
different. He
발견하신
dressed differently. He
분인데요.
didn't
저희
care.
아버지는 옷도 남들과
He didn't
다르게
do what other
입고
people in this field
남들이
were.
뭐라고 생각하는지
And
별로
it's
신경도 안
very
쓰시고
difficult to have a lot of creativity when all the young
저희 아버지를
people
보니까
just want to copy somebody famous.
어린 친구들이
If
다
everybody
누군가
just
유명한
wants the same
사람을
hairstyle,
따라하기만 하면은
wear the same
창의성이
clothes,
어떻게
grow up to be
나오겠습니까?
the same
다
thing.
똑같은 헤어스타일을 하고
Not
똑같은
everyone
옷을 입고
can grow
다
up to be a
똑같은
pop
장래 희망을
star.
갖고 있다면은
And there can only be
창의성이
one
어디에
Psy and one
있을까요?
Gangnam
모든 이가
Style.
다 자라서 싸이가 될
And
수 있는 건
interestingly,
아닙니다.
I think
싸이는
Psy
전 세계
became
오로지 하나,
famous
강남
precisely
스타일도
because he
전
was
세계
so
하나뿐인
unusual
노래입니다.
and
싸이가
quirky.
유명해진 이유가 바로 독특했기 때문에
Suggestion number
어디서도
7.
찾아보기 힘든 독특한
Encourage
캐릭터이기
more risk
때문에입니다.
taking.
그
This is
다음으로는
really
리스크를
important if
감내하도록
Korea
위험을 한번
wants
감수하고
to
모험을
encourage a
해보도록
more
장려해
innovation-based
주세요.
economy.
한국이
One of the
혁신을
most
기반으로 하는
important
경제를
developments
구축하고자
in the United
하자면은
States,
이
as
부분이
you all know,
중요합니다.
are
아시다시피
startups.
미국이 신생기업이
Facebook,
많습니다.
Twitter,
페이스북,
YouTube,
트위터,
Instagram.
유튜브, 인스타그램
Part of the reason that the
이들이
U.S. economy is so
성공할 수
dynamic
있었던 이유는
is you
그리고
had
미국
people
경제가
coming up with
역동성이
these
좋은
ideas, sometimes in a
이유는
garage,
굉장히 다양한
dropping
아이디어를
out of
내는 사람이
Harvard, going
많기
into a
때문입니다.
garage.
하버드대를 과감히
But to
중퇴하고
have this kind
착오에
of
들어앉아서 작은 회사를
entrepreneurialism
만들고
and
이러는
startups
창업가 정신,
requires some
신생 기업을
risk-taking.
하려면은
And I
리스크를
think this is
감수를 어느
very
정도 해야
hard for
됩니다.
traditional Asian
이것이
parents
전통적인
because
방식에
you
익숙한
want your
아시아 부모
children to go to the
입장에서는
best university.
수용하기 힘듭니다.
You
왜냐?
study,
아시아
study,
부모는
study, and
애들이
once they get
최고의
into a
명문대에
university,
가기를 바랍니다.
you don't want your children
또
to
공부를 해서
take off
명문대에
time.
진학한
You want them to go to the
후에는 쉬는
university.
게 아니라
I can imagine if I told my own
계속
parents, oh,
매진을
I'm going
해야죠.
to
제가 만일 저의 부모님에게
not go to
가서
college for 2
이렇게
years
얘기를
and
했다고
try to
칩시다.
invent something, they would be
부모님, 저는
horrified.
대학에 안 갈래요.
So
대신에
one
2년 동안
idea
뭔가를
I have for
발명할래요. 라고
Korea
하면 부모님은
is something
뒷목
that the
잡고
United
쓰러지셨을
States
겁니다.
graduate
따라서
schools are
제
doing, like
아이디어는
UPenn,
미국의
Wharton.
뭐
I don't know
University
if you
of
know Wharton.
Pennsylvania,
UPenn is a very
워튼
famous
경영대학
business
아시는지
school.
모르겠는데요. UPenn은 아주
What they
유명한
do, I think
경영대학이죠. 이
Korean
워튼
universities could try this,
경영대학원에서 하는
is
것으로 한국
after
대학에서도 해보지
students are
못한 것이
accepted
이런
to the
것이
university,
있습니다.
you know, the
학생
famous
입학이
university,
확정된 후
let those students have
이
the
예비
option of
신입생들에게
taking off 1, 2,
입학 전에
maybe 3
1년,
years,
2년 내지는 3년 정도
guaranteeing their
쉬도록
spot
해주는
at the
겁니다.
university.
3년 후에
So you can come
돌아와도
back and for sure
자기
take the
자리가
spot in
확보가 되기
university.
때문에 불안하지
This
않고
way,
안심하고
you
3년,
say to your
1년에서
most
3년까지 쉬게
talented
해주는
students,
겁니다.
the best
그렇게
students,
하면은
you
가장
can go
우수한
off and you
신입생들이
can come back and maybe with
어디를 가서
government funds,
뭐를
grants.
하다가
This is what they do at
다시
UPenn.
돌아옵니다.
You
유펜에서는
encourage them
정부
to develop
지원금을
ideas,
이용해서
come up with inventions.
아이디어를 만들고
And I think this is a way
발명을
to
하도록
get people, your
장려를
best and
합니다.
brightest of
이렇게
Korea, to
하면은
take
가장
risks
우수한
and to experiment
인재들이
without being
리스크를
afraid that you're going to lose your
감수를
college
하고 실험을 할
spot.
수가 있습니다.
And this is something
내가
that
이게
more and more
잘못돼서 입학이
universities and
취소되면
graduate schools
어떡하지
in the
하는
United
두려움
States are
없이
doing.
이렇게 보장을
So
해주는
many of my
것을
law
미국의
students
많은 대학과
have taken
대학원들이 하고
time off.
있습니다. 저희
2 years,
법대생들
3
중
years, sometimes
상당수가
even 10
2년,
years.
3년,
And when they
심지어는
take
입학
time off and
후
they come to law
10년까지 신
school,
적이 있습니다.
sometimes they have so much more
그리고
ideas
나서
and more
법대에
to
돌아왔을
contribute.
때 너무나 아이디어가 풍부하고
Suggestion number
이들로
8.
인해서 전체
As I mentioned,
강의가 더
try to
풍성해지는 것을
encourage
보았습니다. 그 다음
interdisciplinary thinking
제안입니다.
in
다학제 간
students.
사고 방식을
In the
적극
United
장려해
States,
주세요.
even just in
미국에서는
law,
법학
we
부문만
now have
보더라도
subfields like
하위
law
학문
and
부문이
psychology
있습니다. 예를 들어서 법과
or law and
심리학
economics,
아니면 법과
really
경제학
famous, very influential.
아주 유명하지요.
Law and
그리고
philosophy,
법과
law
철학,
and history,
법과
law
역사,
and sociology.
법과 사회학
So
이런
encourage your
부문들이
students
하위
to
학문으로
look
자리
for
잡고 있습니다.
relationships and patterns
학생들에게
across
다양한 부문을
fields, a kind
가로지르는
of cross
서로 간의
fertilization.
관계와
This
패턴을
is a
보도록
great
장려해
way to
주세요.
generate
서로
innovative
교차, 교배,
ideas.
교차 교류를 하는 것입니다.
This was
그렇게 하면은
my
아주
own
혁신적인
secret to
아이디어가
my own
많이
books.
나옵니다.
In my
제가
second
제
book,
책을
which
쓸 때 이런 방법을 썼습니다.
Korea was very good to, it was called Day of
제 두 번째
Empire.
책
It was about
제국의
hyperpowers.
날이 그
I
초강대국에 대한
noticed
책인데요.
that all the
한국에서도 반영이
hyperpowers in
되었습니다만은
history,
제가 보니까
from the
인류
Roman
역사상
Empire to the
초강대국은 로마
Persian
제국부터
Empire
시작을 해서
to the
페르시아
British
제국에서
Empire,
대영 제국에
despite being so
이르기까지
different,
저마다 다른
also shared
제국임에는
some striking
틀림없습니다만
characteristics
그럼에도
in
불구하고
common. So when you
공통의
find those
특징이 몇
common
가지
patterns,
있었습니다.
you know, that's an
이러한
idea.
공통의
In our
패턴을
latest book, The Triple Package,
볼
it's
수
the
있게
same
해주는
thing.
것이 다학제적인
We
접근
discovered
방식입니다.
that groups
가장
in the
최신
United States,
공저인 트리플
as
패키지를
different as
보더라도
Mormons,
마찬가지입니다. 미국 내에
Jews,
모르몬
and
교도가 있고
Koreans,
유대인들이
again,
있고
have
또
surprising
뭐 재미
cultural
교포들이
commonalities.
있는데 이들은
Suggestion
서로 다른
number
민족
9.
집단임에도 불구하고
Develop
의외로
a
놀라운
broader
문화적 공통성이
definition of
있었습니다.
success.
9번 제안입니다.
This is one
성공이라는 것을 좀 더
problem with
넓게
what we
정의해
call
주세요.
triple package
이른바
cultures or
트리플
Asian
패키지 문화
cultures.
혹은 아시아 문화의
often
문제점
there's a
중에 하나가 바로
very,
이겁니다. 많은 경우
narrow definition of what counts as
성공이라는 것을
success.
아주 협의의
Only
정의,
a few
협소하게 정의를
universities are the
합니다.
ones, the best
명문대라고
ones.
하면은 손가락에
Only a
꼽힙니다.
few
이 학교에
careers
안 가면은 안
are the
돼.
successful ones.
그리고 몇 가지
Maybe a
커리어, 몇 가지
banker or
직업만
doctor,
성공한
you know,
직업입니다. 뭐
even only a
의사나
few instruments.
뭐 특정
In
회사,
Korea and China,
대기업
everybody
이런
wants to
겁니다.
play the piano,
심지어는
violin, or
악기에
cello.
있어서도 한국과 중국에서는
The
피아노,
problem is
바이올린,
if
첼로 아니면
everybody is
악기가 없는
competing
줄
for the same
압니다.
thing,
그런데 문제는
the
다
same
똑같은
spot,
것을
doing the
놓고
same instruments,
한정된 자리를
there is so
놓고
much pressure.
경쟁을 하다 보면은
There is so much
그만큼
competition.
압박이 심해집니다.
And
경쟁이
one thing
너무나
very good
치열해집니다.
about America and the West
미국과
is
서구의
its
장점 중에
much broader
하나가
definition of success.
성공이라는 것을 훨씬 더
In the United States,
광범위하게 강의로
universities like
정의한다는
Harvard,
것입니다.
Yale,
미국의
Stanford,
하버드나
and
예나
Columbia,
스탠포드, 콜롬비아와
they do
같은
not
대학들은
just accept students with the
제일
best grades
점수가
and
높은
test scores,
학생들만 입학을
or
시키는
the
게
best
아닙니다.
violinist or
뭐
pianist.
최우수
They
바이올리니스트나 제일
also
우수한
look for
피아니스트만
people
입학시키는 게
who
아니라
excel in other ways.
다른 부분에서 두각을
People with
나타낸
very
학생들을
strong
찾습니다.
social
예를
skills,
들어서
people
사회성이 좋은
skills,
학생,
or leadership
친화력이 좋은
skills.
학생, 리더십이
So
뛰어난
Harvard
학생을 찾습니다.
will often take the
하버드는
student
많은
body
경우
president,
뭐
or the
특정
editor-in-chief of
고등학교의
the school
학생회장
newspaper,
출신 내지는
the
특정
star of the school
고등학교
play,
학부 편집장 내지는
community
학교
service
연극에서
leaders. That
주연을
is,
했던
people, maybe their
친구
grades aren't so
내지는
good,
지역사회에서
but they really
봉사를
helped
많이 한 학생
poor people or
이들이
disadvantaged
점수는
people.
좀
They've
안
really
좋을지
shown a
몰라도
contribution to
가난한
society.
이에게 봉사를 했고
Or the
사회에
star of
그런
the
다른
hockey
방식으로
team, or
기여하는
the
친구
soccer team, or the
내지는
basketball team,
하키팀이나 축구팀,
or the
농구팀
best
주장
poet,
혹은 우수한
or the
시를
best
지은
comedian.
학생 아니면은
Grades
우수한
and test scores are
배우의
also
기질을
very
보인
important.
학생을
But I
뽑습니다.
think if
물론
Korean
뭐 입학 점수,
universities can
뭐
start
내신
to
성적
change the admissions
중요합니다만은
policies a little bit,
한국의
to also make
대학이
some
좀 더
room for
입학
students who are
방식을
talented in other
바꾸어서
ways.
다른
There
방식으로도
may
재능이
be
존재하기
many
때문에 다른
creative
재능을 가진
students
학생들을
who
입학시키기
don't get the top
시작한다면
test scores, but
그리고
are actually
창의적인
much more
학생이
creative.
매번
So I think you should make
점수가
room for
수능
that.
최고점이 나오는 게
And
아닙니다.
finally, my
다른
last
부분에서
point,
두각을 나타내기
number
때문입니다.
10,
그리고 마지막 열 번째
encourage
제언은
humor.
유머를
Laughing.
적극 키워주세요.
Humor
웃는 게
sparks
좋습니다.
creativity.
유머가 있는 사람이
If you look
창의성도
at the most successful
좋습니다.
Korean American
가장
stars,
성공한
they're very,
재미
very funny.
교포들을 보면은
Why?
또 이들
Because to be
스타들을
funny,
보면은
to
아주
be
재미있는
humorous, it
사람들입니다.
actually
왜냐하면
requires critical thinking.
유머를
When you're making fun,
발전시키려면은
when you're making a joke,
비판적
you
사고가
have to think very
필요하거든요. 농담을
fast.
하려면은
And you're often
빨리 생각을
seeing
해야
a
됩니다. 머리가
problem in
빨리 돌아가야
society,
합니다. 그리고
or
사회에
a problem in the way
문제를
everyone else
보거나
is thinking,
다른 이들의
or a
사고방식에
problem in
문제점을
yourself. When you're
꼬집거나
making
아니면
fun,
내 스스로의 문제점을
you're actually
꼬집을 때
being
이를
critical.
희화화하고
Also,
풍자할 때
laughter is
비평하는
psychologically
능력을
healthy.
쓰는 거거든요. 또한 웃는
Especially
것이
in a
심리적으로도
society
도움이
like
됩니다.
Korea,
특히나
where the
한국처럼
education system is so
교육제도가
strict.
너무나
I think that
엄격하고
laughter
경쟁이
is
치열한
an
경우
important release.
가끔씩
It's
웃는
an important
것이
release.
그 쌓였던
And the
스트레스를
biggest lesson that
풀어주는
I
좋은
mentioned
방법입니다.
is remember, children learn
기억해
by
주시기 바랍니다.
example.
아이들은
Not just what you
보고
tell them,
배웁니다.
but what they
애들에게
see you're
뭐라고
doing.
말을
And
하는
as I
것보다
told you, my
여러분이
own
어떻게
father
행동하느냐를 보고
taught
제일
me by
많이
example.
배웁니다. 저희
Okay, my
아버지가
time
저를
is up. So
이렇게
in
언행
conclusion,
일수로 가르치셨습니다.
I would like to
주어진 시간이
express
다 됐기
my
때문에
deep
마지막으로
admiration for
저는
Korea.
한국에 대한
The
저의
country,
끝없는
the culture,
존경을
and the
말씀드리고
parents in the
싶습니다.
audience.
한국의
Korea's
문화와
growth
또
and
여러분 중에
transformation
부모들도
over
계실
the last
텐데요.
30 years
한국이 지난
is so
30년간
impressive
너무나
and astounding.
인상적인
Korea's
성장을
technology,
보여주었습니다.
education
한국의
system, now
기술과
pop culture,
교육제도,
and the
팝
academic
문화,
performance of
그리고
Korean students
한국
are the
학생들의
envy
학업
of the
성취도는
world.
전 세계가
In the United
부러워하는
States,
대상입니다.
Koreans may be the
미국
most
내의
successful
한국인들은
minority in the whole
아마
country,
전국을 통틀어서
dominating
가장
Ivy League
성공한 교포
universities,
집단일
filling
겁니다.
the top
아이비
spots
리그
in the best
대학을 다
music
장악을 했고요.
conservatories.
가장
All
우수한
of this
음대에서도
tremendous
상위권이 다
success
한국
is due
학생들입니다.
in large
이
part
모든
to
성공이
traditional
가능했던
Korean
것은 어느
values.
정도는
And you should
전통적인
be very
한국의
proud
가치
of those and
덕분입니다.
cherish them.
이러한 고유의
But
가치는 전통
it is
가치는
also
소중히 여겨야
possible to
합니다.
keep your
그러나
strengths and to build on them,
동시에
but at the same
여러분의
time
강점을
open
토대로
yourself to
좀
improvement
더
and change
향상을
and
위해서
learn from the
개방을
strengths
하고
of other cultures,
사고방식을
including
넓게
the West.
해서 서구
As we
문화의
head into the
장점이라든지
21st
이런 것들을
century and
받아들일
global
필요가
competition
있습니다.
gets more intense,
21세기 글로벌 경쟁이
just
점점
emphasizing hard work
치열해지면서
and discipline
열심히
and long
노력해,
hours
금연해야
and
돼,
memorizing
장시간 공부해야
is
돼,
not
외워야
going to
돼,
be
암기식
enough.
교육 이것만으로는
That's why I am
불충분합니다.
so
그래서
impressed and I
제가
applaud and
한국에서
admire
깊은
the
인상을
President
받는
of Korea's
것이고
emphasis on
한국의
a creative
대통령께서도
economy and Korean
창조
soft
경제를
power, and
강조하시고
also why I
소프트
think
파워를
this conference
강조하셨습니다만은
is so
이
important.
또한 인상 깊고 또
Going forward,
본회의도
Korea
아주
must find
중요한
ways
것으로
to
자리매김할
make sure
것입니다.
that the next
앞으로
generation
한국은
of young people are
차세대
inspired and
인재들이
energized, that they will have vision and imagination
영감을
and new
얻고
ideas,
에너지에 넘치기
and
위해서
finally that they will
그리고
have a sense
상상력을
of
가지고
both
새로운
social
아이디어를 내기 위해서
responsibility and the
그러면서도
importance
사회적인
of
책임을
living life
절감하고
to its fullest.
인생을
Based
최대한
on what this country's
즐기며
already done,
알차게
I have
사는
no
것을
doubt
하리라
that Korea
믿습니다.
will rise to
지금까지의
the
한국을
challenge.
보았을 때 이러한 것을 한국이 해내고도 남음이
감사합니다.
있으리라고 믿습니다.
Thank you very much.
감사합니다.